At this point, some people will say, yes, let's abolish stamp duty, but let's not replace it with another tax. Let's cut spending here, let's cut welfare, let's do something like that. And I really want to persuade these people that they're wrong, that if suddenly the government appeared by magic £11 billion and could cut stamp duty, they should instead be cutting another tax and creating a land tax. And the reason for that is that land taxes are pro-growth. Almost all other taxes are anti-growth. So no matter whether you think we should be a high tax country or a low tax country, we should have more tax on land and less tax on other stuff.
A land tax is the least bad tax, according to Milton Friedman, the Nobel Prize-winning economist. Property taxes in the UK currently raise £100 billion a year for the Treasury, but the incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, could be persuaded that they should be changed. He may wish to tax property differently. Tax expert Dan Neidle, founder of Tax Policy Associates, joins us to explain why council tax, business rates and stamp duty should all be abolished in favour of a land tax. Dan, good morning.
Morning, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. It's really good to speak to you. And your writing in the Sunday Times today is so helpful on this, so let's just bring that out loud, really. Start with this. What is a land tax not? Just explain to us where we currently stand and what a land tax isn't.
That's a great question, because what it's not are the current ways we tax land, which are terrible. How do we tax land? Well, council tax is terrible because it's based on 1991 valuations. It's a science fiction game of time travel, which results in lots of unfairness within individual authorities and across the country. It also has the really weird result that the largest property in the country, £100 million, £200 million houses in central London, pay only 3 times as much council tax as the smallest house. So super weird. You'd never design a system like that if you thought about it. It was created in the panic after the poll tax riots. Let's junk it. But council tax looks good compared to stamp duty. Stamp duty is obviously a tax on moving house. Now, general rule of taxes, if you tax something, you get less of it. If you talk about cigarettes, we want less cigarettes, so we tax cigarettes. Job done. We tax land, we get less transactions, we get fewer people buying property, but we don't want to discourage people buying property. We want people to buy property because it's good for the economy, it's good for people moving around to chase jobs, and because it makes people happy. If you want to move home, you want to move home. You don't want to be blocked by an enormous potential stamp duty bill. So these are really bad taxes. Business rates, bad as well. Probably we should leave that for another time, but I suspect listeners will quite quickly accept that the way we tax land at the moment is rubbish.
Okay, fair enough. So your argument is that we should scrap all of those and we should reevaluate where we're getting £100 billion of revenue, that those 3 taxes that you mentioned, where we could actually find that instead. And your suggestion is to look at land. So
yes.
Just take us through how this least bad tax could actually operate.
If you don't, before we do that, so slight diversion, because I think at this point, some people will say, yes, let's abolish stamp duty, but let's not replace it with another tax. Let's cut spending here, let's cut welfare, let's do something like that. And I really want to persuade these people that they're wrong, that if suddenly the government appeared by magic £11 billion and could cut stamp duty, they should instead be cutting another tax and creating a land tax. And the reason for that is that land taxes are pro-growth. Almost all other taxes are anti-growth. So no matter whether you think we should be a high tax country or a low tax country, we should have more tax on land and less tax on other stuff. And even the most anti-tax economist probably in history, Milton Friedman, he was as much of a fan of land tax as he was of any tax. He said it was the least bad tax. I think he started with that quote. So I think everyone should want land taxes, although people may not think so. Yeah, the question is then, how does it work? And how it works is, another tax it isn't is a property tax. If you tax property, the value of property, you're discouraging people from developing property. Who would spend a fortune on doing up a house if the result was you get clobbered with additional property tax. And business rates already have that problem. We don't want that problem on residential property. So what you need to tax is the vacant land.
So don't tax the buildings, just tax the land.
Just tax the land. Yeah, and if you do that, you're in fact encouraging people to develop land, because the more that they develop land, the more valuable their property is, but they're not increasing their tax bill.
Yeah.
Even more, if someone has vacant land value tax would be quite a burden on it. And so you're giving a great push towards development. Developers would no longer hold large parcels of land because it would be uneconomic for them to do so. They'd want to rush out, develop it, sell it. All great for the economy, great for house building.
Let's interrogate some of the downsides, I suppose, that you address as well in your writing today. And in fact, one of them is highlighted by Steve, who texts straight away, "What have I just paid an enormous stamp duty bill?" So as part of your suggestion here on abolishing stamp duty among those three taxes, you suggest that there should be some sort of transition towards a land value tax instead.
Yeah, if the average house, I think, has in London about £500,000, huge amount of money, a stamp duty on that £15,000. If Steve just bought an average house and just paid £15,000 stamp duty, to be told, congratulations, stamp duty is abolished, but you're now paying £2,000 land tax a year, I suspect he would be furious. So you have to say, OK, Steve, you've paid £15,000 stamp duty, you're going to get £15,000 off your future land tax. So that's going to last you for 7 and a bit years. You'll have no land tax. I think you have to do that.
Yeah, OK. So there's a transition that we need to think about on the way towards a land value tax. What about the differences that people would pay? Because I've been playing around with the calculator that's in the Sunday Times article online, and some people under the land value tax compared to council tax would be facing a huge difference in their bills.
Oh yeah, there are people in Kensington in mansions who would be having bills of tens of thousands of pounds per year. And that is not a bug, that is a feature of the land value tax. The Sunday Times is quite rightly presenting one version of the tax, which is the most pure, the most fundamentalist version. We will have a model on the Tax Policy Associates website, and if you go there right now, you can type your email address and get notified when the model comes out, which will show you all the ways that you can vary a land value tax to make it more aggressive and tax more on people with the largest houses, or gentler and have less of a curve. You could even be less ambitious and not touch council tax and just replace stamp duty, which is, I think, easily the worst tax. So there's lots of variations, and some people will be cool with someone in Kensington having a £60,000 land tax bill. Other people will think that is not a good thing, and there's different ways you can approach it.
Yeah, Dan, I could speak to you all day. We might have to have you back next weekend for a part 2 on this, because there's loads of messages coming in as well. Can you in 20 seconds tell me how we would decide the value of the land? Because that's a bit of a conundrum, isn't it?
I'm going to cheat and say go to the Tax Policy Associates website, taxpolicy.org.uk. We will have more detail on this than, frankly, anyone needs or wants, but it'll be there.
Perfect. And I hope we can speak again, Dan, because it's been a pleasure for these few minutes, and there's lots more that we need to dive into. Thank you so much for now.
Thank you.
That is Dan Neidle, founder of Tax Policy Associates. You can read him in the Sunday Times. You can find more on his website at Tax Policy Associates as well. And we will speak again because it's a fascinating idea. And it may whack some of you. It may alleviate the financial pressure for some of you. Have a little read at thetimes.com.